Hello and welcome to the Record Club, brought to you by Record Store Day, the official charts, and National Album Day, and proudly in association with Bowers and Wilkins. My name is Jess Izzat. Thank you so much for joining us. We're very excited to say that our guest tonight is Joe Hill to talk all about her brand new album, Girlhood, which I've been totally rinsing. If you've not hung out with us here before, we're going to be spending the next half an hour talking to Joe about the brilliant new record, and we're going to be putting forward some of your questions about the album for her to answer. So if you want to get involved, make sure to drop us a question in the comment section below. I'll be asking a selection of them in the second half of our chat. And one lucky person who gets their question answered will be randomly selected to win a pair of these Bowers and Wilkins PX7 Season 2 over-ear noise cancelling headphones. The album sounds great in them, so don't miss out. If you haven't already got yourself a physical copy of the album, obviously we recommend you go order one from your local record store once our chat is over. But first, let's get straight into this week's Record Club and say a big hello to Joe.
Hey, I am very well. Just got my hot water bottle and my cuppa. It's that time of the year.
Literally so wholesome. I feel like everything from like the album, the voice notes, just like the hot water bottle, everything is like on brand.
Vibes.
Yeah, before we get stuck right in, we actually like to start the record club with a question from one of the many amazing independent record stores that we have here in the UK. And this week it comes from Truck in Oxford. Are you going to Oxford? Because I know you're on a little tour.
Yeah. I'm actually going on Friday to Truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going to be able to say hi to them, but they have sent in a question. They said, "What song from the new album are you most excited to play live?"
For me, oh my God, can I have two answers?
Yeah.
Well, I think number one is Home to You, because I love the way that we've arranged it live, because it's obviously quite a produced track, but I'm doing this kind of like intimate record store tour, and so we've got it with like double bass, a bouzouki, and acoustic guitar, and it's like this really lovely raw arrangement, and I love the lyrics of that one. But my second answer would be the song with my hairdresser, Outlaw, because we're going to sing it on my homecoming Cheddar show, which is going to be really, really cute.
You were saying that Cheddar doesn't have a record store, but where are you doing it? Where are you doing it there?
So we're doing it in this venue that my dad won't shut up about, because he's in a funk band, and they gig regularly around Cheddar, and it's called Cheddar Ales. It's like its own brewery in Cheddar, and it's like 200 cap or something, so it'd be quite fun.
That is so cool. I feel like that's going to be, is that the final one as well of
Yeah,
this little mini
it's on the
tour?
20th of December, so it's kind of like the end of this tour, which will be really fun.
Oh, that's going to be such a nice little party. Obviously, thanks to Chuck in Oxford, you're going to visit their record store as well.
Yeah. Well, I'll be playing a set there on Friday and signing some vinyls.
Oh my God, that'd be so good. Yeah, anyone who's going, drop us a question or a comment as well. Okay, well, let's get into it. So, this is your debut album, and like I mentioned, I've literally been listening on loop, and that's really tricky when you work in music and your whole job is to listen to new music, and I'm getting stuck on this album, but I just love it. I love the whole feel of it, like as a total record, like listening from start to finish. Um, where did it start for you, and how long has it been in the making?
Oh, such a good question. To be honest, like the first song on that album, was written 2.5 years ago. Was Pow Girl, that made the cut. Was like the opening track, and I was actually going to call the album something totally different. And Girlhood was actually decided in like May, the name, and then so yeah, kind of. I started writing it 2.5 years ago, but that was before I went on a whole whirlwind of a journey with music. Like I didn't even, know that that would be in the album. And then it's been kind of like since that moment, I guess that's when I think I just started listening to Casey Musgraves, and I just got obsessed, and I was like, oh my God, country music, like Americana, and like the songwriting and the you know, the beauty that goes into those kind of songs, of the lyrics and the songwriting and the craftsmanship behind the songwriting really inspired me. And then I think I just took that and really want to, you know, it's been, yeah, I guess like 2 years of writing, chucking songs away, pulling songs together. You know, the interludes were done, you know, like 5 or 6 months ago. It's been such a, you know, created over time. And so many interruptions along the way and so many chops and changes in my life that yeah, it definitely wasn't one of those ones where it's like we went to a studio for 2 weeks and pulled it together. It's been like really crafted over a long period of time. Yeah.
Who are in the voice notes? Some of them I feel like they're so well put together that it feels like so familiar. I don't know if I do recognize the voices, or maybe it's just the nostalgia with things like, I think there was like Wild Child was mentioned
Yeah.
in one of them, and I don't know, just it just feels like it's like your friends are messaging you. But yeah, who are in the voice notes, and how were they curated? How did you get them? Was it like a brief, or yeah, talk to me.
Yeah, so basically, the one called Diary of a 15-Year-Old Girl is literally it's oh, I don't have it next to me because I tied in my room yesterday, but it's like a page of my year 10 diary that just had like the most random shit written on it. Like the beauty of that page was I love the fact that it was like Whitey, Chanda, Auntie Candy might die tomorrow. Pray for her. Kiss a boy. Like it was like beautiful and painful and disgusting things all in one list, which I feel like really sums up girlhood and like being a woman and growing up and all of that. So that's literally just a list from my year 10 diary. And then I made a WhatsApp group of like all my closest gals and was like, please, can you get your aunts, your mums? I want women from everywhere, different languages, different accents, different ages to read it out. So that's what Diary of a 15-Year-Old Girl is. And then you guys is actually so I've got a WhatsApp group that I've like created for these gatherings that I throw, these like pop-up events that I throw in pubs. And I just posted it on the WhatsApp community group being like, looking for some people to feature on my album. So it's actually a bunch of different like fans that just ended up giving really beautiful answers. I literally just asked them, what does girlhood mean to you? And then they, you know, like sent voice notes, and then me and the producer, how we like kind of went through like verbatim and with all the voice notes and just kind of like pasted our favorite bits. With like the backing track of I think it's Rude Awakening, or yeah, one of the others, or Just as Strong in the back. And then Queen M is just my best friend Melissa. We were just like, we went to watch when I was having like a really shit time last year. She took me to the theatre to go and watch this really famous play about a really famous fight, Muhammad Ali versus George Foreman, and we were both like blown away by the play. And afterwards, we were just like really gassed. I think slash I was going through a tricky time, and Melissa kind of started giving me this speech about like you can do it, like da, da, da. And yeah, so and then I just ended up I was like recording her as she spoke. She was like, "Fuck's sake, Jai, that was like meant for just you." But then she was like, "Actually, I sound great." That's her. And I just felt like they all had a really lovely energy behind them, and how, you know, told the girlhood, added to the girlhood world.
No, it's also genuine, and I just think as well, like you said, it's in a community WhatsApp group, and it's like these people who are genuine fans of your music, and they get to have a special part on the album as well. Um, has there been a surprising fan favorite since the release of the album?
Do you know what? Just as Strong. I feel like people have really, yeah, quite a few people have messaged me saying that, and then this one called Volcano, um, which yeah, yeah, it's always nice to hear what people like. But
Uh, I actually I found, you know, when you get to, if you are listening on streaming, like you'll get to the end of the album and it'll move on to like another one of that artist's songs, or like someone else. I remember hearing Just as Strong, and I was like, oh, maybe the album's finished, because the tone is like very slightly different. I mean, it's still you, but I was like, this one's like slightly different. I don't know, can't quite put my finger on it. Maybe it's like your vocal or it was even giving a bit of Lana Del Rey for me, I think. But I was like, wow, I love this. Talk to me about Just as Strong.
So Just as Strong is like for me it's the day I wrote it. I think you've written something, I guess, like important to you when you feel a bit like emotional afterwards, or a bit, yeah, I don't know. That day, me and the guys that wrote it, we were like, oh, feel quite heavy. And I think for me, it kind of embodies everything. If I'm honest with you, like this album, it's not just a musical release for me, it's like an emotional release, which I know is quite a dangerous territory because it's quite, you shouldn't. I try not to attach too much emotion to, obviously it's hard not to, but like, on work and putting that out into the world, I try and like separate that from me, and I'm like, that's my artist project. But for me, I feel like this release carries so much weight, and Just as Strong really like captures that, and basically it's kind of all about the harder times that I've faced in my life, and when I've had to like overcome adversity. Is that the right phrase? Yeah, when I've had to overcome something, and um, and for me, like the past 6 months have been a massive example of that. Like, um, I got dropped by my record label, and I'd signed. I was only signed for 1 year, and I signed a 3 album deal, and I'd made this album that wasn't called Girlhood, and probably only had half the songs from Girlhood on it. And I thought I was walking into my dreams of like releasing an album, and I got signed, and then, had all that industry backing, and then went to nothing, and then had like a good 6 months of having to kind of drive this album through myself. Like my best friend basically helped me produce it and learn how to mix to get the album to where it is. And like, it took so much like elbow grease to like be able to do it on a completely different budget, and with which is a shift. It's a privilege itself to be able to release something, but I think, getting dropped really, really knocked me. And then I think I had to do a lot of work to kind of get through that, and slash pull this album through, because lots of producers, they won't want to work with you if you haven't got like a major label behind you or the same budget. So I think for me, Just as Strong is about that experience, but going through a hard experience, but knowing that you're going to get through it because you've been through something really shit before, which is quite a cynical like viewpoint. But I got Lyme's disease in like 2019, 2020, and I was like really poorly. Like I couldn't walk for more than like 10 minutes without having to lie down. I was studying Arabic at university at the time, so I was living in the Middle East, and I literally remember like my school friends, I was at Arabic school, they were going out to lessons, and they'd go out in the evenings, and I'd just come home, and all I could do was write songs. And that's how I fell into songwriting. And so, but I remember that being like a really, really tricky time. And I think, yeah, that song is all about like I roll my duvet up at night and I cry a little bit, drive the river runs dry. That's all about not being able to sleep, and when you're going through a really hard time, and like being led in your bed and feeling like everyone else is having an amazing time. And that's how I felt when I got dropped, and that's how I felt when I had Lyme's disease. But each time you go through one of those real down, you get to that dark place, you have to find your core. You're forced to. It's like the universe is like, find that fucking core. And I think that's what Just as Strong is about. It's like, I'll keep on just as strong. Like I'll find that thing that's going to get me through this time because I've done it before. And that's what that song is all about. Sorry, that was the longest answer in the world. I'll stop talking.
No, I think it encompasses it, and I think that's why it's perfect to complete the album as well. And you don't need me to say this because I'm sure you do feel really proud of it, but you should be so proud of this album. So, yeah, there we go. You've been through a lot. Right, let's get to some questions that have been coming in. I can see Lucy on the Record Club's Twitter or X. What would you say girlhood is for you personally, and who are your inspirations?
Oh my God, girlhood personally for me is getting home, being on your period, like living with my opening my flatmate's door and just going and lying on her bed and being like, oh, I've got such bad period pains. And then she's like, oh, do you want to watch something together, or I'll cook you dinner, or just kind of being totally open about everything you're going through with your best friends. I mean, it can be girls, can be guys, whatever. But for me, it's that support and that community that I get through my best mates, and through my girls, that I don't really get in many other places. And I've kind of found that all my life, you know. Um, yeah, and just the ability to just like laugh at anything, because I think as gal, you know, as women, as gals, like we go through some stuff, and so you have to develop mechanisms to help you, you know, process it all and laugh about it, laugh about periods and menopause and all the things that, you know, women have to go through. So I think, yeah, that is it's that community and that commitment.
One of the voice notes said girl dinners, and I was like, I know exactly what you mean.
Oh,
Getting in those girl dinners where you're just laughing about like everything. It's just...
yeah, and you just get it out on the table. You're like, I've eaten so much, I'm gonna undo my belt. And we're just gonna like chat shit all night. And go, and I love the way that, you know, you just go into every single detail like too much, and then you're like, whoa, we need to shut up. Like, you know, I think yeah, that's what that is for me. And who's my biggest inspiration?
Yeah, that was one.
And did they specify like musically or just like in the world?
Didn't say, they just said inspiration.
Oh, okay, biggest inspiration. I um I'd actually say my grandmas. They're both sadly not here anymore. But they were both like the biggest galhood advocates ever. One of them was like gonna be an opera singer, but then she got pregnant and was too young. And like both of them were just so musical and so open and had their galleys and you know, and they were rooting for me more than anyone. And so I think a lot of the time when I'm creating something, I kind of they're probably there subconsciously.
Oh, I love that. Do on the Record Club's Facebook says, "Hi Joe, who would you love to collaborate with?"
Um, I actually, so I would, that's a really good question. I mean, Case Musgraves would be my like dream in maybe, you know, a couple of years' time. Also, the Japanese House. Um, she was actually at one of my shows once in the crowd, and I just feel like, you know, that would kind of, and we met afterwards, and I just love everything they do. That would be like a big dream for me. Yeah, those.
Oh yeah, putting those out into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Uh, who do we have now? Tilly on the Record Club's Facebook says, "What are your plans for the next year after tour?"
Um, well, there'll be some more music coming your way. I don't want to say too much, but um, yeah, there's some exciting, lots of exciting new things, and travel maybe is another word that I'll use.
Mm.
And yeah, definitely more, so many more shows around the UK and festivals and stuff is like big plan. You know, now I've got a record out, got to play it out loud. Do you know?
Yeah, this is true. Absolutely rinse that. Get it out there.
Yeah, 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 big time.
I have to say, thank you everyone for your questions. I have to say, lyrically, I loved how I think it was like it's the Molly May quote, swiftly followed by Theresa May, two people I didn't, two girlies I didn't think I'd ever see back to back in a song. That has to be the best way I've ever heard the quotes. But which song are you lyrically most proud of? Or like, is there a particular line or something that you just love?
Um, I really, where did Ella go? Like, I really love the way that the story, Ella's story is told, um, in that song. And um, yeah, every reason to be bitter, but you're not a quitter. I think like that's kind of true. You know, when you get hard times, it can definitely make you better. Um, but you know, this gal kept going. I think that's like it's a good mantra to have for yourself as well as it.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, because being bitter is such a like hard done by like negative, whereas you can flip that.
And I've been there. And it does. thing. Like, you know, yeah, you can, it's learning like how to flip it, I think, is you know, a really cool skill.
And before I let you go as well, I'm just going to squeeze in one more question from me. So, you know, you mentioned that your hairdresser is on this and is going to be singing with you. Does your hairdresser like sing already, or have you convinced them to sing for you and the album?
Yeah, so Holly, big up Holly. So basically she's my hairdresser from my hometown Cheddar, and I never get my hair done in London because one, it's too expensive, and two, just love going to see Holly. So I always go back home to get it done. And she's like a country singer. She's amazing. And her husband sing in a duo called Beside the Grey. And they actually supported me. I had it 2 years ago. I had my first when I got signed, we went back to Cheddar and had this like kind of celebration at the cider barn, and I did a show and they supported me then. 2 years on from that, um, she's going to be supporting me, well, singing with me on stage in the Cheddar Ale show. Um, and yeah, she like whenever I get my hair done, she always whacks on Traveling Soldier by the Chicks, and we just like sing and harmonize. And she basically just showed me this chorus that her and her husband had, and I was like, "Can I write some verses to it?" And then they just ended up being on the album. So yeah, that's Holly.
Oh my God, I love that. Well, anyone who's going to that Cheddar show, I am very jealous. So you're going to have a wicked time. Yeah, loved hearing Coming Home to You as well live. Literally everyone was singing that so loud on all the choruses. So yeah,
Oh,
again, anyone who's watching, who's going to go see a show, you're going to have a really good time. But that's all we have time for today. Obviously, we've loved having Joe Hill join us. Make sure to treat yourself to a physical copy of Girlhood. Now the episode is over, pick one up from your local record store. Before we go, I'm also excited to announce that the winner of this week's Bowers and Wilkins Wireless Headphones prize is Lucy on the Record Club's page. Please slide into the Record Club's DMs. We'll get those headphones to you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, sending in your questions. This and all previous episodes are available to watch back on Spotify or YouTube. I'll see you at the next episode of the Record Club. Joe Hill, thank you so much for joining us.
thank you.